First stage was down Zinger. It was a little wet, so coming up to this first turn here, I wanted to cut it wide, but I saw somebody go over the bars, so avoided doing that. It's pretty muddy, so I wanted to take a little bit faster, but I was pretty unsure of what the conditions would end up being like. And so, yeah, I was a little bit worried about how good traction would end up being. I ended up taking that inside line on the right because it avoided the trees on the left there. And here's where I probably could have just stayed left and kept my speed. Like I said, conditions, I was a little wary of them with how muddy it would be. In hindsight, probably would have been fine just hitting that gap. This part was a little tricky just because it was so steep, and this is where it really started to get muddy. That turn was a little sharp, but I think overall I did pretty good. Felt that it was best to avoid that jump. Didn't see a need to do that. Probably lost a little bit of speed there. First big berm, and then we get to a nice fast section here. This is pretty cool and a lot of fun. Like this section a lot. Probably my favorite part of this track. It was down here and then into this turn up here. So you can see it gets pretty muddy right here. Gets a little slippery. And this is where I made my first big mistake and ended up eating it right here. Tried to get up quickly, but I wasn't that quickly. Certainly didn't last too long though. At that point I was kind of demotivated because I had just wrecked twice in a very short period of time. So I slowed down quite a bit here and definitely didn't keep the speed that I should have through the rest of the stage. This could have been much faster. I was really worried about how muddy it was, and you can see it's super muddy here. I was sliding around a little bit there, so yeah, this was definitely safer than me, adding a third fall to my run here. So I think it was good that I took it slow, but in hindsight I probably could have taken it a little bit quicker and probably should have gone directly through that mud. The rest of this, I was on my brakes much more than I should have, and here again I was trying to find traction. My tires were pretty caked with mud at this point, and so I wasn't really getting much. Quite frankly, I was riding the wrong tires as well. I should have had 2 5s on this bike, and ended up ordering 2 3s unintentionally. And instead of returning them, I just put them on. There's my third and final fall into a little muddy section. Mostly I just caught my tire and got it sideways, and I was a little tired at this point, just kind of pushing it probably harder than I should have, and nerves being higher than what they needed to be. Here's the last little section before we get out of the woods, and then it stage is over. across the finish line, and time to start climbing all over again.